Hello, boys and girls, and children of all ages. Fat Bastard Wannabe Buddha coming at you today. What I want to discuss today is video games, violence, Marshall McLuhan, and the nature and effects of technology upon a society. God, that's a big topic. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. This week saw the release of Grand Theft Auto 5 and also another shooting up in the Navy Yard. And the media is correlating the two events, which there is no connection. But there is a need to discuss both of those topics. The shooting itself shows a lot of things about the breakdown in our society as far as mental health, easy access to guns, um, and just a very aggressive, violent nature we have as a society. But also Grand Theft Auto's release and the violence that it conveys, and that type of gaming is very interesting for me. And one of the things I want to take issue with is a lot of people on my side of the argument, which is the far left side of the argument, continually make the point that there's no correlation between video games and violence and altering of patterns of behavior by individuals who engage in these games, which is nonsensical. It's just blatantly nonsensical. Any and all forms of media that is consumed alter drastic the cognitive effects. How media is consumed, the nature of it, whether it's written, verbal, whether it's visual, whether it's interactive, is rewriting cognitive patterns of the individual. Every single book you read is altering you. Every single movie you read is altering you. Every single video game is altering you. Every means of communication and every means of medium that you are ingesting alters your cognitive level to a degree. It just does. That's just the nature of it. Now, whether this is positive or negative, it's entirely towards what aim it is geared towards. There is a difference in playing, let's say, highly competitive games or playing very cooperative games. There's been tons of studies showing if you instill a very hyper-competitive society, you get a very aggressive society. That's why we have violent video games. That's why we play violent sports, because we want to create a very hyper-individualistic, capitalistic individual to go forth in society and smash and take. It is part of the programming that we do. That's right, boys and girls. Playing high school football and college football is all about making you a better soldier. Same with playing Call of Duty. Hate to break news to you, but that's what it's about. And that's why those games are geared in our society and pushed in our society. And it's not like I was immune to it. I played football. I was quite good at football. Most of the games that I am played when I was an avid gamer, and I'm still an avid gamer. When I was at my obsessive gaming levels, when I was 16, 18 hours a day, is I was a competitive raider and PvPer. And then I also did competitive first-person shooters. And when I was a young kid, I was actually pretty good at Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And when I say quite good, I could actually win tournaments back in the day. Long, long, long time ago. So in arcades, that culture alone is a very male, individualistic, aggressive culture. Very, very individualistic, very aggressive, hyper violent. Every time at the arcade, it was every single Friday, Saturday night, it was on the verge of fights constantly. And that's the society in which I grew up and played in. And same with football. And so is the PvP competitive scene in WoW. And one of the reasons I stopped playing Star Wars: The Old Republic, I started noticing that individually I was becoming more assertive and aggressive and competitive in myself. And I sort of grew out of that. I still, even though part of me still misses it. Still misses first-person shooters. Still misses it. But most of my energy is channeled more into Civ 5 currently. Civ 5, Shogun, and XCOM, which is still competitive, but not in the same league, not in the same genre. But to to think that it doesn't have an impact upon a society, what the introduction of a technology is ludicrous. We have drastically changed our behavior patterns with the introduction of cell phones. Not just changed behavior patterns, but moral standards and everything from how we talk to one another, communication, the length and structure of our sentences. Any form of media, alters cognitive structures in a society drastically. And there is some cultural reprogramming going with video games. And the video games this culture likes is hyper-aggressive, hyper-individualistic. And it is breeding a very hyper and individualistic society. It is a question of which comes first, the chicken or the egg. But there's a question of standards. Now, Grand Theft Auto is a great game. Grand Theft Auto 5. It's a game I have no interest in. Never played any of them. I've watched streams of it, but that's what I do normally. I'm one of those guys that watch massive amount of online streams and let's plays. That's my entertainment because I despise television. So it's a very beautiful game to look at and everything. What I notice, people say that there's no impact about what you do in the game and then what you would do in real society, and I think there's some validity to that. But I also noticed that there's still taboos, even in a game like Grand Theft Auto. Yes, you're allowed to drive around and kill and shoot anybody you want to, except you can only, kill and rape their prostitute. You can't do the average citizen that. You can't just grab an individual, male or female, anywhere and do whatever you want to with it. Maybe the programming ain't there, but I don't think we would allow that. We only allow, prostitutes have it coming in this society. Or I doubt very seriously if we would allow you to kill and rape children in a video game. That game would not be allowed to produce. So we do assert certain standards and morals, even when we say we don't, because we think there might be something there. Either we think there might be something there. I can't think of any other reason why we would offer prohibitions on certain standards of behaviors, even in our media, unless we believe that the media can alter behavior to a certain degree. And that's one of the things that my side of the argument will not address, because we're dependent upon free speech. We love free speech. I do too. I have no problem with Grand Theft Auto 5 being made and produced and distributed. It's great. I hope they make tons and tons of money because they can fund games that I want to play down the road. But I have no problem with a society saying that you have to be over 18 before you can purchase that game. I can tell you from personal experience, I do not like playing first-person shooters with a bunch of 12-year-olds and 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds and 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds. And back in the day when I used to raid, we had a 21 and over policy in our guilds because we didn't want to deal with the children, period. And we wanted to conduct ourselves at a certain behavior level that is not appropriate for 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds to be engaged in. It just isn't. So there is an age appropriateness to certain products, whether that product is a violent video game, whether that product is alcohol, marijuana, there will be an age limit that I can see legitimized in a society. But the thing that the medium, how the message is coming forth in a video game is not altering behavior patterns is folly. It is doing something, and it's being done deliberately. That's why certain video games are very popular in the society. But I will concede it's a chicken and an egg thing. I can't tell whether it's a society that's hyper-aggressive and individualistic and assertive and all the little dark aspects of capitalism that we need in order to continue to exploit people and do expansion, which is what capitalism needs. Whether that is a behavior that's dominant in the society naturally or if it's a behavior that's being cultivated deliberately. I can't pick that apart yet. But that was my thought for the night about video games, Marshall McLuhan. I highly suggest you read a lot of Marshall McLuhan stuff. Most of his stuff is quite interesting. And hope to talk to you later. Thank you very much for your time and support.